خيرا. طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Last class, before we were traveling and became busy with some things that we had to be busy with, we were speaking on the Prophet ﷺ's physical description. The Prophet ﷺ's physical description. Not his moral description, but what he looked like as a human being and as a man. And of course, that's a benefit for the believer. Inshallah, a means of loving the Prophet ﷺ more and knowing who's your Prophet and who's your messenger. But under any circumstance, is it as important and substantial and significant as knowing his moral description? How he was as a soul, as a servant, as a messenger, as a believer. That's more important than how he looked, his hands and his feet and his hair and his face. And oftentimes many Muslims, and it doesn't mean that we scorn this and it's not important, but oftentimes they say, we love the Prophet, ﷺ, the Prophet was born on this day, this was his birthday, this was his favorite meal. But the spiritual content, the spiritual concept of the Nabi al-Kareem, and what his message was, and what his message wasn't, what he called, what were his values, oftentimes that's void, or totally neglected and abandoned. And that's unfortunate. So the Messenger of Allah, the most important thing was his message and his moral character and his moral description. That's the most important thing. The physical thing has its benefit, has its importance, but it is subsidiary. And it is after the sifa al-khuluqiyya, the Prophet's morality and what he called to and what he practiced. So we were explaining about how the Messenger of Allah's face looked, alayhi salatu wasalam, not too round, not too rectangular. It says, fi wajhi tadwir, and how dark his eyes were. Ad'aj al-aynayn, meaning the pupil, his eyes, dark, rich. The Messenger of Allah's eyelashes, and how the Prophet's skin was. It wasn't too light and it wasn't too dark. Nawawi rahimahullah, he says, إذا مشى تقلع كأنما ينحط من صبب أي يمشي بقوة وصبب الحضور. And whenever the Prophet would walk, he would walk briskly. He wouldn't run, nor was a slouched, slacked, or laid back walk, nonchalant, nor was it prideful or arrogant or conceited, but it was a commandeering walk, a walk of manhood, the ulama of Islam say, a walk of power and strength, a walk of rujula. He says here, يتلألأ وجهه القمر أو تلألؤ القمر ليلة البدر كان وجهه القمر حسن الصوت سهل الخدين ضليع الفم سواء البطن والصدر. And the Messenger of Allah says his face would shine. It was bright, shiny, like the moon on a full night. And he had a very pleasant voice. Hasan as-sawt, pleasant voice. Wasn't scary or intimidating, wasn't too soft or meek, but it was pleasant. Sahl al-khadain. His cheekbones didn't protrude too much, as if he had smooth features. Nothing too sharp and too bold. Dali' al-fam, and he had a wide mouth. His mouth wasn't small, minute, it was relatively wide. Sawa' al-batni was sadr. His chest and his belly was well proportioned. He didn't have a big stomach and a small chest, a huge large chest and a small abdomen. He says well proportioned. أشعر المنكبين والذراعين أعلى الصدر طويل الزندين رحب راحة أشكل العينين أي طويل شقيهما مهمون أو منهوس العقبين أي قليل لحم العقب بين كتفيه خاتم النبوة كزر الحجرة أو كبيضة الحمامة. And he gives more descriptions of the Prophet ﷺ. He had wide shoulders, and some parts of his body was broad, thick joints in certain parts of his body. And he mentions the hair that the Prophet had, of course, on his head, his chest, etc. He talks about the Messenger of Allah's body parts, things like this. And how he had the seal of prophecy on his back, like the egg of a pigeon or dove. Wasn't so big. وَكَانَ إِذَا مَشَى كَأَنَّمَا تُطْوَى لَهُ الْأَرْضِ وَيَجِدُّونَ فِي لِحَاقِهِ وَهُ غَيْرُ مُكْتَرِثٍ. And when the Prophet walked, as once more, he walked briskly, never walked slowly. And they had to catch up to him. When he walked, and he wasn't even trying to exert himself in walking fast. As if the earth was being ground up and enveloped for him. You just walk and gain ground quickly. وَكَانَ يَسْدُلُ شَعْرَ رَأْسِهِ ثُمَّ فَرَّقَهُ وَكَانَ يُرَجِّلُهُ وَيُسَرِّحُ لِحْيَتَهُ وَيَكْتَحِلُ بِالْإِثْمِ لَيْلَةٍ فِي كُلِّ عَيْنٍ ثَلَاثَةَ أَطْرَافٍ عِنْدَ النَّوْمِ. And the Messenger of Allah والسلام, took care of his hair. He took care of his hair. Sometimes he would let it grow down straight on the sides, and sometimes he would make it part. He would make a part. His hair wasn't too long, as mentioned in other narrations. One narration mentions to the tips of his ears, and another one perhaps to the top of his shoulders. It wasn't too long. And that's a discussion, and we benefit from that with regards to how long is a man's hair allowed to be. How long can your hair be? Is it permissible for a man to have long hair, to have a ponytail, to have hair that reaches his shoulder blades or the middle of his back, or hair longer than that? Is that haram? Is that makruh? Is that imitating women? Is a man allowed to have short hair? Can you shave your head? Is that from the attributes of the Khawarij? Simahum al-Hawq, the narration says. Their signs will be bald heads. Does that mean that it's haram to have a bald head? It's makruh to have a bald head? Also, with regards to women, is a woman allowed to trim her hair? Can she cut her hair? What's the length of a woman's hair? Well, if a woman's hair doesn't grow that long. What is the fiqh of hair? Some of these things are based off of clear texts, and others are based off of ijtihad. Those ulama of Islam looking, deducing, and trying to come up with conclusions. And oftentimes, no doubt, ijtihad is influenced directly and indirectly by culture. Ijtihad, the act of the scholars deducing from general proofs and coming out with specific rulings. That's what ijtihad is. There is no specific proof on an issue, so I take the general proofs and I seek Allah's help and use my mind to figure out a ruling. What's the ruling on drinking Canada Dry? I say, I don't know no ayah or hadith on Canada Dry. Let me look again. Let me double check. I find no text on it. So I'll go back to the general proofs about drinks, the general proofs about sugar, the general proofs about intoxication, the general proofs about harming your body, so on and so on and so on and so forth. And I'm qualified for this, and I come up with the conclusion that Canada Dry is haram, cannot be taken. High fructose corn syrup. It's a means of this, it's unnatural, it's not really ginger inside of it, so on and so on and so forth. Ijtihad. And that ijtihad oftentimes is influenced by culture. By culture. Okay? By culture. So in certain cultures, for a woman to have short hair is a means of imitating a man. Other cultures, that may not be the case. Certain cultures, for a man to have long hair is girly, feminine. Other cultures, that may not be the case. You may find people that are great warriors, fearless, courageous warriors, and they have long hair. So oftentimes, ijtihad is based off of culture. This is a reality that is well known to the people of knowledge. And obviously, not understanding this or denying it and rejecting it is a means of utter chaos, as we see in the United States. Many fatwa and rulings, which are not based off of direct text. It's not based off of the nas sarih, but it's based off of generalities, and there's ijtihad that's made by an alim. And of course, the ijtihad of an alim is better than the ijtihad, inshallah, of someone who's not alim. No doubt about that. Someone who's been studying for 40, 50 years, teaching, of course, inshallah, his ijtihad is better than someone who hasn't. But the fact is, it does not mean that the fatwa is not based off of ijtihad and culture. And in Saudi Arabia, or in Yemen, or in Timbuktu or Mali or in Mauritania, that's the custom, but not in Philadelphia. It's totally different in Philadelphia, totally different. No one sees that and feels that way. Everyone sees that and feels that way in Mauritania. You can't say that now it's haram, you can't do this. That's Mauritania. That's not Philadelphia. It's Timbuktu. It's not Philadelphia. Someone walks down the street on Lancaster Avenue, says no problem. It's nice. It's cool. In Mauritania, they say he's a homosexual if he wears that color. It's not the same. It's different. So ijtihad oftentimes is affected by culture. And that is a mainstay in the issue, the mas'ala of growing hair. Can you grow your hair long? What is the length of a man's hair? You understand this? Also, we mentioned last night about plaits and dreads and things like this. Moving forward, we're not here to talk about hair tonight. He says here, وَكَانَ يُرَجِّلُ, and the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he used to comb his hair. وَيُسَرِّحُ لِحْيَتَهُ, comb and straighten out his beard. He would pick it out, straighten out his beard. And that's an issue. Is it permissible for a man to comb his hair every day? Can you brush your hair every day? Can you get a shape up once a week, every 2 days? Or is that excessive? Is that a means of being feminine, being too pretty, and you're too concerned with your appearance, and you have no ruggedness with you whatsoever? You understand this? The concept of a Muslim man to look nice, that's fine. A Muslim man to be smooth, to be a sharp dresser, that's tayyib. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. When Allah blesses a servant, He loves for the effects and the traces of that blessing to be seen. Many hadiths about that. The Prophet ﷺ was asked about the man who wants to have nice shoes and a nice thobe. Is that from pride? He said no. Pride is doing this to the people and doing this to the haq, so on and so forth. Many hadiths. But does that mean that a man is to be a total and absolute pretty boy? From top to toe. Everything is pretty, precise to the dot. This, that. Can a man get a manicure? Is it okay for a man to get a manicure, a pedicure? Can you do that as a man? Can a man get a facial? Can a man sit down for an hour and have someone do this with his hair or his feet? Is that permissible? What is the limit at which a person is maybe too pretty, quote unquote? And it doesn't mean that you can't look nice and you can't be sharp, you can't be fly. But is there a limit? And if there is a limit, what is that limit? And from that is the issue and the hadiths that talk about Nahi Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Prophet Sallallahu, the hadith about combing your hair every other day. And not combing your hair every single day, brushing your hair every single day. What's meant by that hadith? Is it an authentic hadith? And most important, what's the concept behind that hadith? The concept behind the hadith, whether it's authentic or not, whether it's haram or not, is for a man never to be too pretty and too concerned with his outward appearance. Too concerned with his what? Outward appearance. And even when you dress up and you dress nice and you look nice and sharp, there still has to be, in my humble opinion from these texts, one piece of ruggedness on you. Something has to be a little rugged. Something. You have on a jacket, you have on a scarf, there has to be something somewhere that's what? Something. And it can't just be total pretty from top to toe. And even if you are dressed like that, your spirit is never ever to be 100% pretty. You're always supposed to have the rugged spirit, no matter what. Is that I'm wearing flat bottoms right now, but if it came down to it, I could get into a fist fight and not slip and hold my own. I have on a top coat or whatever. I have on this and that, but don't get it twisted. I got something in my pocket that'll what? Warm you up quick in the cold winter. Everyone understand this? Seriously, when a person is doubt you with your hands, whatever it may be, flip, whatever you're going to talk about, it has to be the concept of what? Ruggedness and being able to defend yourself and protect your family and defend and propagate Islam whenever you need to do so. And oftentimes, many brothers, they forget about this. And oftentimes, they're victimized. You're too pretty, too shining, you're too feminine, too soft. Predators what? Lurking. Lurking what? As the poet said. We don't quote no poetry about lurking. So this is a reality. And this is what the Prophet wanted from his followers. and not to become too attached to the dunya and too pretty and too soft. And when the Muslims, especially the Muslim men, became too pretty and too soft, and they wanted to be Europeans instead of Turkish or Arabs, whatever they wanted to be, French, they wanted to be this. Look what happened to the Muslims. Those Muslims that were warriors, those Muslims that were fearless, look what happened to them when they adopted that culture, that feminine culture. Look what happened to them. So this is a reality. So the point is that even when you look nice, always have something that's what? Something, one thing. And if you're looking all nice and not rugged, at least what? No doubt. No doubt about that. Moving forward. He says, وَيَكْتَحِلُ بِالْإِثْمِ كُلَّ لَيْلَةٍ. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ would use the kuhl. He placed the kuhl on his eyes every night. ثَلَاثَةَ أَطْرَافٍ. Certain way in which he would do it. وَكَانَ أَحَبُّ الثِّيَابِ إِلَيْهِ الْقَمِيسُ وَالْبَيَاضُ. He says, in the Prophet ﷺ's favorite clothes, the favorite thing for him to wear was the qamis. The qamis. And a qamis is not an izar, it's not a rida, it's a long shirt. A piece of clothing that you put on from your head, your neck, it falls down, and it covers most of the body. And it covers most of the body. Similar to the thobe that many brothers wear, but not as long. Not as long. You know what I'm saying? It's a qamis. Also it says, wal bayad, and he used to like the color white. He used to like the color white. He was fond of the color white. Then he goes on to talk about certain cloaks, certain robes the Prophet would wear. Fihi humra, one that had red in it. And that's an issue. Is it permissible for a man to wear red? Can you wear red, or is it haram to wear red? Or is it disliked to wear red? Many brothers, they say, you see someone red, I say, haram, you have to take that off. Is that true? It's haram to wear red? Can you wear solid red, or does it have to be striped, or checkered, or broken up, or dark burgundy, maroon? Can a brother wear red? Cherry red, candy apple red, whatever, red. Can you wear red? Fire engine red. Is it permissible to wear red as a solid color? وَكَانَ كُمُّ قَمِيسِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ إِلَى الرُّسْخِ أو إلى الرُّسُلِ. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ did not exceed his wrist. It would stop at his what? His wrist. And it wouldn't be what? Like that. It wouldn't be excessive. And that's an issue in itself with regards to al-isbal. Having your pants beneath your ankles, or your thobe beneath your ankles, or your izar beneath your ankles, does that also apply to your sleeve, your cuff? Is it permissible to wear a garment that you intentionally put past your wrist? Is that permissible? Is that disliked? What do the hadiths say about that? Are those hadiths authentic? That's an issue in itself. Is this bal only on the bottom, or is it also applying to the what? To the top, the cuffs. But the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, whether it was ibadah or his own custom, his sleeve didn't exceed his what? His wrist. He says, وَلَبِسَ فِي وَقْتٍ حُلَّةً حَمْرَاءَ وَإِزَارًا وَرِدَاءً وفي وقت ثوبين أخضرين وفي وقت جبة ضيقة الكمين وفي وقت قباء وفي وقت عمامة سوداء. And once the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he wore a hulla hamra. He wore a red hulla, a set, a cloak, something similar to a robe, similar to it, that was red. As I just brought up the issue of wearing red. And the ulama of Islam, they differ on this. Was the Prophet's garment all red, or was it checkered or striped? Another time the Messenger of Allah wore, he says, Hullatan wa izaran wa rida'an. The izar and the rida, a complete set, like we said. And another time he wore two green garments. Thawbain akhmarain, green. What is the significance of the color green in Islam? Is there a significance? Why do so many masjids choose green as the color of their carpets? Is it an accident? Why is the Prophet ﷺ's, or the dome in the Masjid al-Nabawi, Sharif, why is it green? Who put it there? All the Sufis made it green. Saudis haven't removed it yet. Still what? To this day. Huh? The flag is green. What's the symbolicism of the color green? Back in the day, right? You get a chain. It had I think it was a La ilaha illallah chain, a pendant. It was a pendant, and it was green and gold. I remember when I got it, I was happy. I wore it to middle school. It was my medallion. Said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah on it. And I remember one day, subhanAllah, there was a brother, he was a little older than me. He was a Muslim, but he was like, trying to like come along a little bit. So he's like, oh, that's nice. So I gave it to him. I let him wear it for some time. So he came back a little while later and he was like, every time I get in trouble, I do something bad, and I'm wearing this. I said, what? I get out of trouble. Allahumma musta'an. Al-Muhim, if you think about it, you're talking about old school, think about green. Is this right or wrong, Sheikh? Sister Claire Muhammad. Carpet is what? Green. The pulpit, everything is always what? Green. What is the asl behind that? Is green a significant color? The Prophet said here he wore what? Green. It says, at another time, moving forward, the different styles of clothing that he wore. Another time he wore a black turban. Imamatan Soda. A black turban. What's the significance of the color? Black. What was the color of the Prophet's flag? What's the symbolicism of what? A black. In the world today. And all types of things, from cars to clothes that come what? And black. What is the meaning behind the color? Black. Something meaning black. Is it menacing, evil, serious? Al-Muhim, sleek is different. It's not always tough. Sometimes it means what? Smooth. Dangerous. A ninja wearing what? Black. Which is not necessarily true. All ninjas didn't necessarily wear what? Black. Black is one of the worst colors to wear on a full moon. No doubt. It's one of the worst colors to wear. It protrudes, it reflects the light. Oftentimes they wear dark red or gray. Depending on what?
They wear black in the morning.
Different fit, different times, like we said. Al-Muhim, the concept of what? Black. And black being scary or black being attractive. Everyone understand this? Colors are very significant to the human being. Moving forward, he says, وَأَرْخَى طَرَفَيْهَا بَيْنَ كَتِفَيْهِ. And the Messenger of Allah, he took the two tails of the turban between his what? Shoulders. What happens when a person wears a black turban today? Let's keep it real. Someone walks into the masjid with a black turban now. What's the first thing you're going to think about him? Extreme or terrorist or Sufi. This is reality. But he comes and wearing a white scarf or a Saudi checker scarf. He's a sheikh. He has knowledge, sunnah. This is reality. If he comes in wearing a Yemeni one, mashallah. But let a brother come in the masjid with a black turban on. First thing you're going to think of, what the heck, right? Allahumma musta'an. It's a sad reality. Someone on the news, on the media with a black turban, they're going to think what? Allahumma musta'an. And the Prophet ﷺ himself, he wore what? Black turban with a tail. Is it a sunnah to wear a turban? Or is it just from the Prophet ﷺ's dress, his custom, his item? Moving forward. وفي وقت ملقا أسود من شعر أو كساء ولبس الخاتم والخف والنعل. The Prophet, he wore other things, and he also had a ring, and he also wore leather socks, and he also wore shoes, sandals. Now, the Messenger of Allah, as we know, his ring was silver. It wasn't gold. Men are not allowed to wear solid gold or pure gold. Can a man wear a gold-plated ring? Or gold-plated watch? What's the name? No. Okay, what about, let's say flash color, flash gold, where it's just like, is the color gold just a little bit? Or what about replica gold? My brother, he sees a watch, says it's a nice watch. I can't wear solid gold, but I like the color. And gold gives a color and a feeling different than the silver or the stainless steel. and he wants to buy it, and it's not actual gold. Is that permissible? What you think?
Along with us, is it speaking about the color gold or just gold in general? The
I want to know
metal.
what you know. What you think?
I don't wear it, so just to be on the safe side.
That's an issue. That's a ruling in itself. Is it permissible for a man to wear what? Gold color jewelry. Even if it's not actual what? Gold. Or another issue, another fifth issue, is the concept of white gold. Is white gold permissible to wear? What is white gold? Is white gold actual gold? Very important question here. All right. What is gold from the start? What is gold made of? And what makes it 18 karat, 24 karat, 21 karat, so on? What is the difference? What makes something a certain value?
It's richness and
It's richness of what?
this
Is gold a pure? What is gold?
Oh, man.
This is important. Like we said in MSG before, to understand many Sharia, you have to what? Understand the dunya fiqh. We said this, right? The fiqh of the dunya, to understand many what? Sharia issues. What is gold? Where does gold come from? Minerals of the earth, whether it's underground, in a stream, etc. So it's a mineral. So what happens when people find gold? What do they do with it? They burn it. Or they clean it up. Or what else? Sell it. Or what gives a gold its value or its amount in carats? Why is one carat higher than another?
Like refined or something.
It's science that you need to know when it comes to these what? Issues. I have a watch, have a ring, which has 20% gold in it, 30% gold in it, or a pin. They may say the nib is from what? 18 karat gold. Is it permissible to have this pin? Not saying that this pin is 18 karat gold. I'm not saying that it's not. But I never said that it was.
That it was.
Is it permissible to have this, to write with this? I understand it's a pocket watch. That's from gold. So in pocket watches that certain brothers possess are what? Gold. Can you have that in your pocket? All right, very important issue here. But the Prophet, his ring was made of what? Silver. No doubt about that. It's not about wearing silver. What finger should the ring be wore upon? What finger is the ring on? The ring finger or the pinky? Allahu Akbar. The pinky finger. Alaikum salam. Pinky finger, huh? Which one? Pinky finger or the ring finger? Pinky. Right hand or the left hand? Right hand. Tayyib. Footnote says, sometime he wore it on the right, sometime he wore it on the what? On the left. That's a long issue of khilaf. What side is a man allowed to wear a ring on? Moving forward. First one, next chapter. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, أولاده صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam's children. The Prophet's children. Now the word awlad, sometimes when it's used in the Arabic language, it means boys, plural of walad. And it's only talking about boys. And there are other times in which the word awlad is mentioned and it's talking about, in general, girls and boys. Here he's talking about his boys. Lahu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam thalathatu banin. The Prophet alayhi sallam had 3 sons. And this is a tremendous lesson in this. Why did the Messenger of Allah sallam have so few children? Those that didn't live and reach maturity, those who died. What was the wisdom behind that? Why would the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, who was who he was of greatness, not have a stronger and longer and deeper lineage? This is a very important question here, and there are many wisdoms in this, and what Allah had decreed for him to have of children, and those children that would live, and those children who would not live. There's many lessons that we can what? Take from this. Everyone understand this? And it goes to show you, one of those lessons is that the worldly life, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He gives it to those whom He loves and those whom He loves not. He gives it to those whom He loves and those whom He loves not. A person can have 10 children, doesn't mean he's beloved to Allah. 10 sons, 10 beautiful, smart, educated daughters, doesn't mean that he's beloved to Allah. And a righteous, pious man or woman may only have one child or no children, doesn't mean they're hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are other lessons as well. Moving forward, Al-Qasim, وَبِهِ كَانَ يُكْنِي كذا ولد قبل النبوة وتوفي وهو ابن سنتين. The first of his sons was Al-Qasim, Qasim. And that was the kunya that the Prophet ﷺ chose to take. That was the kunya that he chose to take. Abul Qasim. That was the kunya that he chose to take. How many lessons do we have from this? What was the ruling on having a kunya? How many brothers that you know, you see every day, you don't know their kunya? If I ask you right now, what's his kunya? What's Fulan's kunya? Many people don't even know. They may know his name, you may not even know the brother's name. Let alone the fact knowing him by his what kunya and giving him the honor and the respect. Ya Aba Kada. Ya Aba Kada. Oh Kada. Honor and respect. And first and foremost, just reviving the sunnah of having the kunya. Also, what is the fiqh of the kunya? Is the kunya your oldest child or your oldest son? Everyone understand? Is it your oldest child or your oldest son? Or are you allowed to pick which kunya you want to be identified by? You call a brother by a kunya and the brother gets offended. He pulls you to the side in the masjid, walks real close to you, says, "Look, don't call me that again." Said my daughter was offended. Don't let me hear you calling me that again. So it happened to me, brother. I won't mention his name, but it's a true story, and Allah knows. I'm trying to implement the sunnah. What crime did I do, Yahi? May Allah preserve you and your daughter. I mean, no offense meant, huh? Fine. Al-Muhim, what is the fiqh of the what? Kunya. Is it the oldest child, girl or boy? Or you can't take the kunya of a girl? Or you shouldn't. No men should know the name of your daughter. I'm Abu Aisha. La 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 la. You should be Abu Abdurrahman. No one should know that your daughter's name is what? Aisha. Except for a driver's license. Passport, work ID, that's what? In the hospital, Aisha, please come. That's okay. But in the masjid or the dollar fly, you can't be what? Abu Aisha. Moving forward. I never said I was going to give you the answer.
Okay.
All we're doing right now, as we're reading from this Siddur book, which is what? Bringing up the issues. Stimulating, getting you to think. That's it. Because it's not a fiqh class.
No.
It's a Siddur class. We did the fiqh to the fuqaha.
Okay.
The Quran graduates.
That's a very important.
Indeed.
The
Indeed.
boy or the girl. Because I go with what you call it.
Allah Akbar. Tell you. Moving forward. Another issue here is, what's the rule on having a kunya before you have children? Can you be called Abu such and such or such and such before you even have kids?
No.
What's the proof?
What's his name? Abu Huraira. He had a kunya.
He wasn't. He had no children.
Or
Was his kunya of a human being or animal?
as an animal.
Can you have a human kunya? Can I be Abu Abdurrahman and I'm single, sleeping with myself every night? The Messenger of Allah, what? So the sister says it's permissible. Says you can, even if you don't have children yet. How about children who had kunyas during the time of the Prophet's time? During the time of the Prophet. We're not here to answer the question. We're here to just what? Bring up the doubt. And you stay confused and research it and have your own opinion afterwards. Also, is it permissible to have the Prophet ﷺ's kunya? Can you call yourself Abu al-Qasim? If you can, What if your name is Muhammad, your first name? Can you have both names together? And we mentioned this, from Ibn Qayyim's book a couple weeks back at Yumin Masjid. Can you have both? One thing is one. My name is Muhammad. My kunya is Abul Qasim, but my name is Abdul Rahman. Can my name be Muhammad Abul Qasim? Understand the difference? Moving forward. Qasim was born before he was a prophet. He was born before he was a prophet. And he died when he was 2 years old. He was only 2 when he died. He didn't live long. Like we said, what was the wisdom behind that? The lessons that Allah gives and Allah takes. He did say as well, Abdullah. And his next son was Abdullah. ويسمى الطيب والطاهر لأنه ولد بعد النبوة وقيل الطيب والطاهر غير عبد الله والصحيح الأول. His name was Tayyib or Tahir, pure, clean, totally fine. And that's because he was born after he became a prophet. And others, they say that they are other than Abdullah. But no, he says that's not right. Correct view is those are other nicknames for Abdullah. وَالثَّالِثُ Ibrahim. Number 3 was Ibrahim. ولد بالمدينة سنة 8. He was born in Medina after the Hijrah. The 8th year it says. وَمَاتَ بِهَا سَنَةَ 10. And he died 2 years later. In the 10th year of the Hijrah, 2 years later. وهو ابن 17 شهرا أو 18 شهرا. And he was 17 or 18 years old, or 17 or 18 months old. Once again, why did he die so young? Why did the Messenger of Allah ﷺ not have one successor from his direct bloodline? Not his grandson, but from his what? That's a very important point here. We talk about the Shia and the Rafida, the Imamis, the Ithna Ashari, whatever you want to call them. Their beef, or one of their beefs, they have many beefs. They have cows. Many people, they think it's just between, no, it's deeper than that. They have many problems with the Sunnis. They have cows. They have beef. From the beef that they have, as they say, what sense does it make for the Prophet's successor to be someone who's a foreigner to him? Doesn't it make more sense for his successor to be from his bloodline, from his lineage, his progeny? Doesn't that make more sense? And hypothetically, they're what? Without question. Who will be better than someone who's related to him, his grandsons, instead of someone who's a foreigner or strange to him, hypothetically? But unfortunately, people who live in a hypothetical world, oftentimes they become bewildered from reality. They become messed up mentally. If it was that important and that necessary for the leader of the Muslims to be from the Messenger of Allah's noble and sacred bloodline, don't you think Allah would have kept one of his sons alive? Common sense. If it was of that importance that you're making it seem, why would Allah not allow one of his sons to remain and reach manhood after him? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of his infinite mercy, did not allow that, that shows you is that it isn't an absolute must for the leader of the Muslims to be from his what? Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that. Secondly, what would make more sense? The one who was with him day and night, he was inseparable from the Prophet ﷺ. From day one, he held out the Messenger of Allah. He knew, he understood the Messenger of Allah like no other person, or someone who was born years later after the Prophet ﷺ. That doesn't make sense. The best leader will be my father's best friend. Unless we're sticking to some type of Jahiliyyah custom, which has to be blood. Are you understand this? And we all know what happened in the world and history. When the son had to be the leader, the king's son wasn't fit to be the king. He was a bad prince and he's a bad king. He's a bad prince and a bad king. As we said this before about people having children and always wanting to have children and not thinking about the fitna of children. You may have a child, especially a father, you may have a son who's he's a half-wit. Bubblehead. He's not even serious. And it's a shame. It's shameful It causes you harm and injury. You're this great warrior, this great businessman, this great politician, this great scholar, and your son is what? A bozo, a dumbbell. I mean, and this happened many times in history. And the people are so afraid and terrified, or they suck up and kiss up to the father so much that no one would dare say anything to the son or correct him when he's dead wrong. And that is not beneficial for the state. That's not what? It's not beneficial for the state. And that's why oftentimes they would try to assassinate him. This boy cannot become what? The king. Notice. And the father knows that he's weak. He knows that he's not a good student of finance, of war, of anything. He's unsuited for the chair. But at the same time, he's my what? He's my blood. Don't touch him. Don't say anything to him. Let him be the king. Even though it's going to bring the country to ruin. Everyone understand how dangerous this is? So it's not about blood, but it's about who's suited the best. And this is one of the keys to success and one of the secrets of that great military conqueror. I never said he was a Muslim or a great person, but he definitely was a great military conqueror, Genghis Khan. He abolished the Mongolian Jahiliyyah of who can and cannot lead and be in charge based off of race or blood or lineage. He said it doesn't matter what tribe you come from. I don't care who's your father, what nomad tribe. The person who shoots the bow the best is going to be the leader. The best horseman is the leader. The strongest, the bravest one is the what? That's the leader. That's the one I want to lead my people into battle. Not because of your father or because of your grandfather. That means nothing to me. And obviously we know that the hayat al-dunya is based off of tangible things. And there were reasons behind his worldly success. And from those reasons was that. Then he got rid of that. And he took a lot of heat for it, a lot of slack for it. They said, I don't care. It's not about formalities, it's about winning and conquering. That's the only thing that matters. You know what I'm saying? Is he who is victorious in the battle. And there are many, many other keys to success and secrets that are beneficial for the Muslims to know about. With regards to his philosophy and his mentality on warfare. With regards to bravery, even with a captured enemy. A captured enemy who was brave and courageous and fearless, he would let him live. He wouldn't execute him, he would let him live. Integrate him in his army. He respected this. Horsemanship, archery, they respected those things. Not like the Muslims today, in which it's only based off of lineage or blood or how you look or where you come from, unfortunately. Moving forward, he says, وَالثَّالِثُ طَيْرٌ. Then he says, وَكَانَ لَهُ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ أَرْبَعَ بَنَاتٍ. The Prophet had 4 daughters. 4 daughters. Why do you have more daughters than boys? There's a lesson in that. Girls are bad. Girls are hated. Girls are bad luck, bad omens, shame to the family. We need boys, we need men, we need soldiers, not women. If that was correct, Allah wouldn't have given his Prophet what? More daughters than what? Boys. Allah Azza wa Jalla wouldn't have given the Prophet any daughters, let alone more than boys. That's a lesson in that. And who was the one who lived after him? Who was the one who reached and lived to maturity and became what she became? It was a girl. That's a tremendous lesson. Alaykum salam. With regards to brothers who dislike girls and look down upon girls. Even to this day, the culture still remains. He says, Zainab, تزوجها أبو العاص ابن الربيع ابن عبد العزى ابن عبد شمس وابن خالتها وأمه حالة بنت خويلد وفاطمة تزوجها علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه ورقية وأم كلثوم تزوجهما عثمان بن عفان تزوج رقية ثم أم كلثوم وتوفيتا عنده ولهذا سمي ذا نورين. توفيت رقية يوم بدر في رمضان سنة 2 من الهجرة وتوفيت أم كلثوم في شعبان سنة 9 من الهجرة. First was Zainab رضي الله عنها, and he mentions who married her, who her husband was. And then it was Fatima, who we know was married to Ali. And then there was Ruqayya and Kulthum, who were both married to Uthman radiallahu anhu. And the lesson that we benefit and take from this is that if you have daughters, marry them off. Marry your daughters off. For so many reasons. The sunnah is to get married. The sunnah is to marry off your daughters and those people who are under your guardianship. And not only is it the sunnah and the spiritual benefit, but it's unhealthy for a grown man to live in a house with his wife and 4 grown women of his daughters and 3 grown boys. They all live in the same house. It's not right. Something's going to happen. Something is unhealthy with that household. And which is all of those grown people sexually mature and they're not married living in one house. That's unnatural. And that's why the Messenger of Allah mentioned about looking after a girl child. Man ala jariyataini hatta tablugha. He who raises 2 girl children until they reach the age of maturity. He mentions how they will be. Ana aw jahua. He says, me and him will be like this on the day of judgment. So raising girls until they reach the age of maturity proves is that once they reach that age, you're not supposed to be no longer doing what? Raising them. They're women. Marry them off now. Find someone who's suitable, who's righteous, who can take care of them, who can provide for them. Bismillah. They need to be married. You understand? And there are many stories, many events of bad things happening. When a household is full of grown women, a grown man, a mother, and it's not just something sexual. It doesn't just have to be perversion or rape or molestation or nothing like that. Oftentimes the mother will always be at war fighting with the what? The girls. And the mother is jealous over the daughter because the father shows attention to the big girls instead of the mother. The daughter cooks better than the mother. Or she makes something that the mother doesn't make, and it's jealousy. She's a grown woman, she needs her own space now. She's no longer little sweet Fatima anymore. She's a grown woman who has her own disposition and attitude and emotional. She needs to be by herself. And you need to be what? By yourself. Visiting your parents, come with your parents. I got divorced or I'm going through something. I need to stay here. No problem. But we're talking about the concept of this daughter is 20, she's 30, she's 19, and she's 25. They all live in one house and none of them are married. I'm not trying to marry any of them off. That's problematic. It's problematic. Let alone the other things which can happen from that lifestyle. Are we understand this? And we learn from this that the Prophet ﷺ, what we read just here, is that he did what? His daughters were what? Married off. And as if some brothers have a sickness, Allah knows best, in which they just never want to marry their daughters off. And they'll find a million excuses. And before Brother Ali gives us a faida, a story once. It was a brother, I won't mention their name or where they're from. He had a daughter, he had several daughters. And there was one daughter that he had who would say like this: Allah blessed the daughter with a great deal of beauty. She's beautiful. And she worked in a place. And everybody who went into this place or this store, he would notice how beautiful the sister was, mashallah. And he would ask, can I talk to your father? Can I get married to you? Mashallah, are you married? She would put him with the father. The father would say, no, get out of here. Scram. Get lost. You're not good enough. Don't have enough money. Your lineage isn't correct. Your race isn't right. Your ilm isn't right. Blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. And his daughter, she kept growing older and older and older and older and older. And as time went on, she began to resent her father and hate him. And that's because her beauty was fading. And in her culture, once you reach a certain age, your chances of getting married are slim to none. Slim to none. Once you reach a what? A certain age. Your chances of getting married are slim to none. And not only do people not want to marry you because your shelf life is expired, but people, they start wondering, what's wrong with you? Why can't she get married? Or what's wrong with her father? What's wrong with her family? A woman of such beauty can't find a husband? All of these brothers will come here and no one can get married to her? Something has to be wrong with her. And there wasn't nothing wrong with her. But the father was, Allahu Alam, and what was in his heart. He just never wanted to marry her off. And to this day, I don't think the sister is married. To this day. And what will happen with the people who came in the store of flirting, of looking, of gazing, of smiling, of this and of blushing, to this day. Who's bearing all of those sins except for the what? The noble father. Are we understand this? So we need to be mindful of this. All right, and it's a big epidemic around the world. Women who reach a certain age and no one wants to marry them. Further. La. Moving forward. Ruqayya and Kulthum, they were both married to Uthman. This goes to show you many of those cultural values. You can't marry my daughter if I'm your friend. Oh, no, my man, he can't marry my daughter. No, lie. I'd rather have a stranger. No, not you. It's Aib if you ask me for my daughter's hand. That wasn't the Prophet's what? It wasn't his culture. Uthman radiallahu anhu was his companion and his friend. He married not just one, but what? Two of his daughters. One died, passed away, and he did what? Married the next one. How deep is that? Are you understand this? So who would you like to marry your daughter? Somebody that you know? That you've been with, that you've traveled with, you argue with, we got into a debate, we got into a little scuffle. But alhamdulillah, it's all good. I'd rather have you marry my I know your faults. Then the brother who comes, assalamu alaikum, handshake, smelling good, such the mark, the beard, the thobe, everything's all good and crisp. And in the household, he's what? Tyrant. Or the other billah. Everyone understand this? Or Allah, what he may be into. After that, what? That salam like that, with the ain. We've been keeping it what? Keeping it real. It's reality. So I would rather have someone that I know marry my daughter than someone that I what? Have no idea about. I understand this, and then I'm sure you know many stories like this. Alright? And the cultural references as well. So Ruqayya radiallahu anha, he married her first, and then he married Kulthum, and they both died under his care. Both of them. Radiallahu anhuma. And that's why he was called the possessor of the two lights. The possessor of the two lights. He married, or he says that Ruqayya, she died on the day of the Battle of Badr. She died on the day of the Battle of Badr. What month was the Battle of Badr in? What you mean? What day? What day, Idris?
I don't know.
You know when the Battle of Badr was? June, huh? What? Not what day, what month? What month was the Battle of Badr in? Ramadan. The blessed month of Ramadan. That's when they fought. In Ramadan. What year was the Battle of Badr? It was during the second year of the Hijrah. It was in the second year of the Hijrah. Kulthum radiallahu anha, she died in the month of Sha'ban, during the 9th year of the what? Of the Hijrah. فَالْبَنَاتُ أَرْبَعٌ بِلَا خِلَافٍ وَالْبَنُونَ ثَلَاثَةٌ عَلَى الصَّحِيحِ. He says, so there's no doubt the daughters are 4. Everyone agrees that there were only 4 girls. And they differ over how many boys they were, and the correct view is that there were what? Only 3. Only 3. There were only 3. Khair, inshallah, we'll stop here tonight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. May Allah be pleased with all of the companions. And may Allah Azza wa Jal allow the Prophet's name to be mentioned in the company of the esteemed angels. Are there any questions from the brothers or the sisters here? Except for Ali Davis. La, don't get no one else to ask the question. No setup questions. That's not في أصول الفقه يا أخي وضعي ولا ما نريد. Right. The question says, should the kunya, Bismillah, should the kunya be kept if the child is not Muslim? Apostasy. Kunya is the kunya. Abu Abdullah. Waliyadu billah, my son is no longer Abdullah, he's now Chris. Abu Billah. He doesn't want to be Muslim anymore. It's unfortunate. May Allah protect our children from this. I mean, it's not wrong keeping the kunya. Just like you have the kunya before you even have Abdullah or Chris. I'm saying this. Wallahu a'lam. May Allah protect our children from that. Are there any other questions from the brothers or the sisters? La. Not from that side of the wall. Tafadal, Sheikh. Tafadal.
Wait. So it's a question. What's your advice as it relates to people who have teenage daughters like in their 20s, right, early 20s, who go to college and things like that? Is it recommended that they live on their own or stay with their parents until they get married like they do in the land of the Muslims?
With regards to brothers or sisters who have daughters, and they're 20 years old, 21, whatever, whether they're going to college or not, should they live with their mother and father until they're married like they do in the lands of the Muslims, or should they live on their own? There's nothing wrong with them living with their parents, like we said. with the intention of them getting married. Like we said, there's nothing wrong with that. If the girl is responsible and righteous and pious and she can hold her own in the dunya, she wants to live by herself, until she gets married, alhamdulillah, she doesn't have no boyfriend or nothing haram going on. There's nothing wrong with that. And perhaps that's a means of her finishing her studies faster and getting married. Because she knows that she's on her own, she's lonely, she can't rely and depend on no one. As far as her being with her parents, and of course that's a means of safety. It's also a means of the father and the mother knowing where their daughter is and what she's doing and who she's with, inshallah ta'ala. That's a good thing. But oftentimes when you stay with your parents, it's just like a crutch. You just keep leaning on it and leaning on it. And if you tell the brother with the messed up leg says you gotta walk by yourself, no one is going to help you. He's going to pay more attention and try to keep his balance what? More. So oftentimes you have to tell your child, bring me your bike. You take the vice grips, you take off the training wheels and push them. Oh, wait. You figure it out. You keep the balance. I can't hold you forever. You have to learn how to balance the bike what? By yourself. So if you know someone is always holding you, they have your hand, oftentimes you don't grow and develop. And I think that I'm no expert on parenting. I'm a parent. I have my problems and my shortcomings as well. My children, they have their issues as well. No, we're not perfect parents, but we try. But we're far from perfect. But the concept of one of the things that many people don't think about is that you can ruin your child by being there for them too much and giving them too much. It's just as bad as you not giving them anything or giving them that which is sufficient. To neglect your son is bad, no doubt. To abandon him, to be a deadbeat. How many of us are like that, unfortunately? Why you ever been that? Don't care about their sons. Don't show no importance with their sons. Unless it's a show. Then I'm the caring, loving, protective what? Father. It's a show. They don't protect us. But being there for your son too much and spoiling him and pampering him and always getting him out of every jam and getting him out of trouble each and every single time, that's ruining your son too, because you're turning out a total softie. Or you're turning out someone who has no respect for authority, for those who are older, for women. Or someone who doesn't understand that life is based off of consequences. There's an effect, there's a cause. Son, if you be foolish, if you're foolish and stupid and reckless, you have to pay the price. I don't care who, it doesn't matter. You can do it, you can get me out of trouble, come on. I can't. Not this time, you're on your own. And if you keep bailing them out and getting them out of trouble and putting in a good word and the people are afraid of you, oh, that's Ali's son, stay away from him. Don't say anything. You're ruining your son. And if you give your son too much money, you're ruining him. If you don't teach your son responsibility, you buy him every game, every toy, all the sneakers. And that's another piece of advice. I'm giving this advice to our sisters. Like I just gave advice to their brothers about being there for your sons and your daughters. Don't be a deadbeat father. Fear Allah. And the same applies to the sisters. You buying your son $400 sneakers is not helping your son if he didn't work for the sneakers. He doesn't understand the value of nice stuff. All I got to do is just ask mommy and she's going to buy it for me. What amazing. What are you doing for your son or your daughter? So there's a balance. Sometimes you have to leave them and let them figure out themselves. And sometimes you got to tell them, no, you're going to learn how to do it yourself this time. It's like driving. Sometimes make yourself find a way without the GPS. As long as you have the GPS, you're not going to, what? What's the big deal? You got GPS. But now you have to remember the turn and the exit. And you develop skills. So it's a balance. So over pampering is bad. Neglect is also what? Bad. So sometimes when your children reach 20, it may be best to let them live and grow, learn how to be by themselves. But that's only if you've trained them well. And in my humble opinion, and Allah knows best, if your son is 18 and he doesn't know the basic ropes of life and the basic etiquette of life, you've failed him as a parent. If your daughter is 20 and she doesn't know how to be a wife, she can't fry an egg or poach an egg, she doesn't know how to put on a dress, she can't make a bed, she doesn't know how to treat a man, treat a husband, she doesn't know how to serve a guest, what were you doing all of those years? Except for Abby's going to do it. And he spoiled us. He was always there for us. That's a problem. Wallahu alam. Jazakumullah khairan. You have any other questions, guys? See if we have a few on. Not a few. Try to take a few online if we possibly can. First question says, it says, can we post questions for later? For future reference, yes. Post your questions as soon as the live stream what? Starts. First come what? First serve. Do not wait until the Q&A session starts to what? Because if you snooze, you lose. No doubt. And there'll be 50 people in front of you, huh? So post your question as soon as the stream starts if you want to get it answered. It says here, IS, UK, London. Hayakallah Mufti. What is your advice on something claiming in order to excel in ilm and not taking opinions according to your desires, you must follow a madhab? Barakallahu fikum. That's not true. It's not true. Following a madhab is one thing. Studying a madhab is another thing. And they're two different concepts. Oranges and apples don't belong together. Following a madhab is one thing. Not saying it's haram to follow a madhab, but that's one thing. Studying it, learning it, systematically excelling, it's a different story. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The first book I studied is by this teacher. The next book, all those teachers were Hanafi. And I learned the Hanafi principles, the Hanafi theory, and this and that. It doesn't mean I have to follow it. It doesn't mean that it's all right, but I've been systematically trained. And I've progressed and matured and graduated. It's like anything else. You go from a white belt to black belt, brown belt, third degree. You don't start off with this belt and that, but you do it in levels. But it doesn't mean once you reach a fourth degree black belt and this belt and that belt, dragon belt, that you still follow the basic rudimentary things of yellow belt. You may say that's not useful anymore. That was only good when we were breaking boards. That's not realistic fighting anymore. But it doesn't mean that you don't study it, what? Progressively. So it's a difference, all right? Al-Muhim, what you have to do with knowledge is study in proper steps and proper stages. That's it. Whether it's with a madhab or without. It's studying it what? Progressively. That's best. Question says, Ibn Ahmed, Ottawa, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, beloved sensei. I work at a place building automotive equipment. Although the job in and of itself is not haram, inshallah. Continued. I have co-workers who play and listen to music on portable speakers working. Continued. I am leaving the job, but does this corrupt the wealth I have made and render the money haram? Also, is the type of wealth salvageable by sadaqah? Jazakallah khairan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beloved disciple, may Allah bless you, bless all of those in Ottawa, and keep them warm. Ameen. It's not haram. The wealth is good, inshallah ta'ala. Fixing cars or automotive industry is not haram. What the people do externally, bring in music, bring in this, has nothing to do with your specific act of making or fixing cars, which inshallah is not haram. So the wealth is pure bi'idhnillah, and it's no need for it to be salvaged. Inshallah, there's nothing wrong with the wealth. If you don't feel comfortable, you can get rid of it, you can give it sadaqah, there's no harm in that. But hopefully there's nothing wrong with the wealth. You work in a place and there's music playing, it doesn't mean that the job is haram. But that's a foreign thing. Wallahu a'lam. Next question. Fadl akhi.
Do you believe that the prophet still exists? You have a master here that says they have peace of mind.
Do you believe that the hair of the Prophet ﷺ exists? There's a masjid who says that they have it. Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. I've seen some of it before in certain museums, different countries that I've been to. I don't see any reason for it to be a lie or inaccurate. It's not impossible. There are things in museums for over 1,400 years ago old, and it's proven, it's authentic. And there are other things in museums which you doubt. And certain things in certain museums which it's a lie. But we have to be careful when we talk about other people's sciences. Oh, that don't make sense, that's fake, that's not a real skull. No, that's not true, how is it 2 million years old, blah, blah, blah. You don't study that. That's not your field. It's not for you to just come stick and bud your nose and say what is real and what isn't. There's people who devote their lives to this. They study this. This man traveled to 10 countries, 20 countries, this continent in search of this piece of a bone. You can't just say it's what? Like that. That can be your opinion. But that doesn't mean that you have the knowledge and the science what? Of him. How many sites have you excavated? How much brushing have you done in the hot blazing desert? And you just come and say, oh, that's fake. So we have to be careful. There are people who devote themselves to that. But there lies no doubt. There are people who do lie. And there are people who don't lie, but there are people who are what? They're mistaken. They're mistaken. But to have a piece of hair from someone who is loved and respected and honored and admired by so many Muslims, it's not impossible. And in my opinion, it ain't difficult at all for someone to preserve some of the Prophet's sacred hair. Okay, very possible. It's not something which is impossible. There are many artifacts of the Prophet that remain. If you want to see some of them, I would humbly say go to Turkey. Go to Turkey, inshallah. Is everything in that museum, the Topkapi Museum, is everything authentic? I didn't say that. But to just go in there and disrespect their establishment and say everything's false, everything's a lie, I don't think a knowledgeable person would do that. Okay? So it's not impossible, but the problem is, like we said about the Prophet's physical description, that is not the most important thing. What he looked like. The most important thing was how he behaved and how we, what? Behave. You have the prophets here, but you don't pray. You have the Prophet's cup or bowl, but you go to graves. You do sin. What good is it? You spin and dance, you do this crazy stuff. It's not helping you. It's not what? It's not helping you. Everyone understands? Because the Prophet, he never did that. He never allowed that. Rather, he warned from that. So that's the most important thing. So me personally, I don't think it's impossible for it to be true. But what does that mean? If it's been authentically traced back, that this is the Prophet's hair, if I had the opportunity to touch it and put it on my body, I would. Thought about that. Many of the ulama who said that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah wore a belt, which was a strand of the Prophet's sacred hair on his belt. And he wore it all the time. Touching the Prophet was a means of barakah, no doubt. When the Prophet says, وَبَصَقَ فِي عَيْنَيْهِ, he spat in Ali's eyes. Ali immediately became healed. The Prophet was blessed, his body, without Allah gave him certain things. And that's not a Sufi or being a Sufi. And even if it is, if that's the truth and that's the haqq, then call me a what? Sufi. You understand this? You understand this or not? So the Prophet he had things that Allah gave him. The hadith is in Sahih. It's no da'if, this is the authentic information. Whenever the Prophet would spit or make wudu, they would they would fight each other and wrestle to pick up the follicles in the water and to touch the Prophet's blessed body. So if there was an authentic piece of hair, artifact that's authentic, I said, what? Authentic. I would fight for it myself. I would try to spin whatever I could to get that what? Piece of hair, what? Myself. Salama radiallahu anha. They had a silver pot, a small silver pot, which they had the hair of the Prophet ﷺ. And the people used to go and they used to seek shifa from Allah via that piece of hair. And they would get the cure. So if it's authentic, that's one thing. Claiming it, saying it, it's not authentic, that's what? Different story. But the most important thing is following the sunnah. With or without the Prophet's cup or hair or shirt. And most people today who give a great deal of time and attention to these artifacts, most of them you'll find them what? Ab'ad an-nas, the furthest of the people from the basic teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unfortunately. Wallahu a'lam. Next question says, SM from London, UK. What is the correct and balanced approach in regards to Ash'aris? If someone's convinced of Athari Aqidah, should they marry an Ash'ari? The correct and balanced opinion is that anyone who is a Muslim is loved and respected and shown loyalty and allegiance based off of his obedience to Allah and His Messenger. And anyone who is a Muslim and he has some disobedience to Allah and His Messenger and he's remote from the teachings of Allah and His Messenger, he is to be hated and shunned and disloyalty and disallegiance shown to him according to that level. 30%, 30%. You're 30% away from the correct way, 30%, I'm far from you. Not 70%. You understand this? I made one mistake in a lecture. That does not mean that you treat me like I gave an entire lecture full of what? Mistakes. You understand the mental perversion here? The mental what? Perversion, the sickness. That's even made the mistake. Maybe I'm right and you're wrong. But for argument's sake, it was what? The 60-minute lecture, I made one mistake. So that means that you hate me and curse me and cut me off and boycott me? SubhanAllah. How do you understand this? So we have a Muslim who has a problem with his aqidah, or problem with some ibadah, or some bid'ah. It depends on what it is and the level of it. And based off of that level, it's our relationship with them. A lot, a little bit, then a little bit. But if he's a Muslim, he's still a Muslim. I don't understand this. So the Ash'aris, there lies no doubt that the aqidah of the Ash'ira, the old or the new school, the different schools of the Ash'ira, without a doubt, is not the correct aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It is not the way of Ahlul Hadith, evident. And those who say that, they're either lying or they're blindly following someone whom they think is correct. That's not true. The aqidah of Ash'aris is not the pure orthodox creed of Al-Islam. Evident, it's tainted. It's warped and twisted and mixed with a whole bunch of other things. You understand this? Well, it's the Mu'tazila Aqidah and other things as well. And with him, is that Ash'aris, they have issues. And it's not just about Allah's names and attributes. There are other issues that they have. Iman, Qadr, and Ghaib, Nubuwat. All issues they have. So therefore, if someone is Ash'ari, then they're upon something which is wrong, no doubt. But it doesn't mean that there's no good in them. And it depends on what type of Ash'ari they are. Do they follow the teachings, or are they just a blind follower? Or they're just a layman Muslim who came from an Ash'ari country, from an Ash'ari household? I don't know. If you say Allah's above the throne, Allah's above the throne. That's all I was taught, that he wasn't above the throne. Nothing. I was taught that you can't say Allah has a face. That's what I was taught. And you teach them the right way, that's one thing. So it depends on the Ash'ari. It depends. Someone who's staunch says, no, lakum dinukum waliyadi, don't marry them. Don't marry them. Someone who's ignorant, someone who wishes to know, wishes to find out, wishes to learn the truth, maybe. He may be a beautiful brother or a beautiful sister. He may have good akhlaq. They may have good ilm. They may have a good heart, but they just don't have the what? Proper teaching. So it depends. But it depends on who's getting married too. Someone who's already in full stride with knowledge and sunnah, don't marry anyone unless they're already in full stride of knowledge in the sunnah. You understand this? You be selective from among select. From among the select. Never fish in muddy waters. Don't look for a good fish in a muddy pond. You go to the best pond and try to get the what? Best fish. You understand this? You select from a what? Selection. If you're a fish connoisseur. As far as if you're not that, then that's a different story. You might get a good fish in a muddy pond. You understand this? And this is especially important to Tulab al-Ilm. Never marry a sister that's not a student of knowledge. Ever. Don't waste your time. She's going to study. She's going to be religious. She's going to do this. No, she's not. I haven't seen it in my lifetime. And Allah knows best. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Does that mean it doesn't exist? No. But I didn't what? I haven't seen it. Marry a sister that's like you from the get-go. As far as if you're not really a student of knowledge, or you're trying to be studious, you're a little bit here and there, she's pretty, she's nice, alhamdulillah, and she's going to, move along, inshallah. But I'm talking about a hardcore student of knowledge, in which I'm already memorizing, I'm already doing hifz, I'm already doing Arabic. As soon as I graduate, I'm going to Medina. I already have my ticket, I already have my money saved up for Umrah, I already been to Egypt. I'm already in what? Full stride. Listen, galloping horse. You don't slow down for a slow mule. You don't slow down for a lame horse and say the horse is going to what? It's going to catch up. Lie. But if you yourself are riding a slow horse, then that's what? Different story. Everyone understand this? And the same applies to sisters. Don't marry no brother that's half in the streets, half in Islam. Don't marry no brother that's half thug, half on the sunnah. Half fly, half what? Zahid. Don't do that. Because I've never seen it in my life to what? Work. Don't think that you want to convert him through your what? Huh? Wallahu alam. Next question says, yes, UK, London. Assalamu alaikum mufti. What is the difference between the Khawarij and the Bughat? As many claim group to be takfiri, while others say so-called Salafis of today are falling into irja. Good question. The ulama of Islam, they've spoken on all of these issues. The chapter of Al-Bughat, people who have a problem with the leadership. They're Muslims, and oftentimes they're righteous people, but they say we have a problem with what? The leadership. And if we don't see change, and if you don't fix it and adjust it, then perhaps it could lead to bloodshed. It may lead to some clashing. But they haven't yet taken up arms. But they're definitely what? Ready to, like a militia. And they feel that the government is corrupt, and the government has major problems. But they have not declared the government to be kuffar because of sins. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. They have not declared the government to be kuffar because of what? Sins. That is not the same as someone who declares the leader of the government to be kuffar because of apostasy. The person says, I don't believe this king is a Muslim because he said the Quran is unfair. Women should inherit just as much as men do. I don't think this country is a Muslim because they're supporting kuffar and helping kuffar to kill and slaughter Muslims. That's why I believe that they are kuffar and murtadeen. I do not deem this ruler or leader to be a kafir because he went to a casino. I do not deem him to be an apostate because he has prostitutes brought in from Czech Republic to the Middle East. I do not deem him to be a kafir because he's stealing the money of the Muslims of that country. That's a sin. It's wrong. He's an evildoer, but he is still a what? Muslim. That's not the same takfir. Right or wrong as the one who says he's not a Muslim because of what? No, ridda. His Islam is invalidated by saying this about the Quran or making this agreement with the kuffar. Everyone understand the difference? And most people today who call themselves Salafi or Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, whatever name they give themselves, most people today, they mix between these two issues. They jumble. Yakhlitun. They mix the two and they are not the what? Same. Everyone got the point or not? So, let's make an example of this. Idris, you come into the masjid and I see you walking the masjid with a blunt, right? And your eyes are red, right? What the other billah, huh? And I see you, I say, Anta kafir. You're not a Muslim anymore. Coming in the masjid, you what? Smoking whatever you smoking. Huh? Homosexual. Nick, stay with me, Nick. I need you to stay focused. Are you sure? I'm tight. He walks into the masjid and he has a blunt and he's high. There's no doubt. He smokes it in front of us. He's smoking the blunt in the masjid. No doubt. Yaqeen. We see him inhale, we see him puff, and he's high. And I say, you're a kafir. Get out, you filthy kafir. He says, astaghfirullah, you're getting high. You're not a Muslim. Scenario number one. Scenario number two. Idris comes into the masjid and he's wearing a crucifix. He holds the crucifix up and he kisses it. And he places it down and places it in front of him, then he starts making salah. And I say, enter, kafir, you're kafir. Am I right for calling him a kafir in either of the two scenarios? Is not on the table of discussion. What's on the table of discussion is that the two scenarios are clearly what? Different. The first scenario, I made takfir on him based off of what? A sin. Scenario number two, I made takfir on him based off of something that I believe is what? Kufr and shirk akbar. So scenario number one, from the way of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah or not? No. Scenario number two, from the way of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah? See? The training? Possibly. Huh? The break is always there. Kufr and shirk akbar, clear, but what? Mumkin. Knowledge, but it's reality. Programming is what? It's real. It's real. The concept of me calling him a kafir specifically, rushing to it. We're not getting to that. For someone to say we don't rush to make takfir. But the concept is the takfir was what? It was made. It was what? It was made. Making it for a sin, one thing. Making it because of an act of kufr and shirk is what? Different. So, listen carefully now. The bughat, plural of baghi or baghiya, someone who's an aggressor, is someone who does not call the government a what? States. But he does say that they're sinful and they're corrupt. And changes need to be made. Understand this? Hypothetically speaking, the Khawarij, difference, they say that the government, they are kuffar. Why are they kuffar? Because they smoke marijuana and they drink alcohol. They make major sins, therefore they're no longer Muslims. That's not the people who say the president of this country today is not a Muslim. And if you say that you're a Muslim, then you're not being honest. You know he's not a Muslim. You know what he said about Islam in the Quran. And when he meets with the priests and look, he goes into the church and he kisses the crucifix and makes sujood to the crucifix. And he says we're all one religion, we're all human beings. Everyone understand the difference? And most people in the average programming, they've been programmed today, astaghfirullah, you can't make takfir. The Salafis don't make takfir. Imam Ahmed said, la nukafiru ahadan min ahl al-qibla. That's not what Imam Ahmed was what? Talking about. Let alone, what about Ibn Abdul Wahhab? And the people that he deemed to be what? Apostates. Why? Because they were drinking and smoking, or because they were what? Grave worshiping, their aqidah. So, irja, no doubt, is one of the most widespread bid'ah in the world. And it is, or it has influenced many things. And this is one of the manifestations of its influence. Is that the correct takfir is a total no-no. Just like jihad, it's no different. Proper jihad, no, possibly. You know, I said, am I blowing anything up and doing this? And we didn't say anything about that. We're talking about that which is proper and correct legislatively. But the people, their aqidah has been neutered so badly. It's been neutered. And they don't even realize that a big part of their aqidah is that of the murji'ah. They have irja. Iman is only in the heart. Iman is only on the tongue. No matter what you do, it doesn't harm your iman. You have to be careful. You understand it? So the Bughat and the Khawarij have similarities, but they also have what? Differences. The Khawarij have two main principles that the ulama of Islam mentioned. And if these people don't have these two main principles, then is it correct to call them what? Khawarij. Principle number one, at-takfiru bil-dhunub. Is they make takfir based off of what? Sins. Number two, radd sunnah. They don't accept the hadiths. The Bughat, they say we're not calling them a kafir, and we accept the hadiths, but it means something different, or it's a different interpretation. Abdullah ibn Zubayr and this campaign and Fulan and Muawiyah, they fought, so therefore we can do it too. Mathalan. The hadith about if he beats your back and takes your wealth, they say it's da'if, etc. They have proofs and evidences stating why we can do what? Fight this ruler. So they are not what? Khawarij. You understand? So every Khariji in general could be a Baghi. But every Baghi doesn't necessarily have to be a what? Khariji. Are you got that or not? Now, last thing I want to say when it's long extended answer is do not abuse the term Khawarij. Do not abuse the term as it's been abused. And just like you call someone a Khariji or a Takfiri or a Jihadi or this and that, they have names and terms for you as well. They have what? Names and terms for you as well. And they will call you things and deem things on you, and you don't even realize it. And maybe they're right and you're wrong. Maybe you are a coward. Maybe you are a murji. Maybe your iman is messed up. Maybe you have not rejected the taghut. Maybe you are aligned with the taghut. Maybe you don't hate the kuffar. And maybe they're right. Maybe they have the courage to say what's needed to be said. So slow down. Be careful. Don't call each other names. Besides the government, Khawarij. Khawarij. He's Khariji. He's a rebel, a Kharajite. Don't be a victim of what? Propaganda. It's like we said. What's going on in the Middle East or this country? How is that affecting you? How is that benefiting you and your family? On Lancaster Avenue. How is that making your life better? How is it getting you closer to Allah? The politics of this country, what does that have to do with you? And are they losing sleep? Are they talking about what's going on in your urban city? Do you think Philadelphia, Lancaster Avenue comes up at their dinner table? Their table spread honestly, and there's no disrespect to nobody. Do you think they're talking about poor black Muslims? Do you think that the conversation even comes up in their circle? But every circle we have what? This government, Fulan's Khawarij, this, they did this, they locked him up, mashallah, he's this, he's that. Do you think, this is an honest question to be asked, do you think that that's coming up in their circles? You understand this? So reality check is needed for us what? Oh, and it's applicable to anybody. It's not just black, white, black, Arab, anybody. African, whatever you are. Hispanic, Italian, whatever you are. I really understand this? You can be rich and black. It doesn't have to be poor, whatever. But we're talking about what? What we're talking about. So be mindful. Be mindful of that. Here we will stop. Allah knows best. And with him is all success.